Hi everyone, my name is Valicia and today I'm presenting my final project on the topic of ableism as a challenge to program design with a focus on promoting accessible playgrounds for disabled children in schools. So this topic is really personal for me. I work with disabled children in an elementary school and we take them outside every day. But I've noticed how hard it is to keep them safe on the playground. Most school playgrounds are made with able-bodied kids in mind, and there are high platforms and stairs and really tight spaces and not many sensory or calming areas. Before starting this project, I knew ableism existed in physical spaces, but I didn't realize how deeply it affected leisure spaces, like where kids play and go to cool off after learning. They don't really have the attention spans to learn for long periods of time without having breaks. So here's the issue. Most playgrounds are not designed with disabled children in mind, and this leads to exclusion, safety risks, and lack of equal play opportunities. Play is essential to every child's development. When a playground isn't accessible, it sends a message that some kids don't belong and that's not okay. My students thrive off of being able to interact with their peers. It makes them feel like they belong, thus increasing their social skills and their willingness to learn. Ableism in context to public spaces means designing programs or environments in ways that ignore the needs of disabled people. On a playground, this shows up in things like stairs instead of ramps, surfaces that aren't wheelchair friendly, or no sensory spaces for kids with autism or sensory processing disorders. I have one student who struggles to access the slides on our playground because there aren't ramps to accommodate her disabilities. When these spaces aren't designed for everyone, they unintentionally push disabled children to the sidelines. This exclusion affects children in real ways. They are more isolated, they miss out on building friendships, and sometimes they get physically hurt because the equipment just isn't safe for them. Research shows that inclusive play promotes emotional, cognitive, and physical development for all kids, not just disabled ones. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, outdoor play provides the opportunity to improve sensory integration skills, which is important to every child, able-bodied or not. When I started brainstorming solutions, I came up with a few options. One of them was retrofitting current playgrounds, and retrofitting means adding a component or accessory to something that was not there when it was manufactured, and this would help update playgrounds without completely uprooting them or spending a lot of money. Another option was starting from scratch with a fully inclusive design, and this would be expensive, but it would ensure inclusiveness from the ground up with a new, better design. Another option, which isn't really an option but more of a solution, is advocating for laws or policies that require accessibility. And this is important to make sure that playgrounds built in the future are required to be accessible for all children. And then including sensory-friendly elements and quiet zones is another option. And all of these are helpful, but the best option seems to be combining universal design principles with community input, especially from disabled children and their families. My proposed solution is this. Schools should intentionally design inclusive playgrounds that use universal design. This means creating equipment and spaces that are usable by everyone without needing adaptations, and that's making sure they're ADA compliant. So examples of this would include ramps instead of stairs, swings with harnesses, tactile panels for sensory play, ground level play areas so they're not platformed all the time, and rubber flooring for easier mobility. Also, schools should train their support staff, like their TAs or, anything, to support inclusive play so that disabled kids aren't just safe, they're actually part of the fun. They're included. There is strong evidence backing this, and an example is the Me Too Inclusive Playground Design Guide by Playcorps outlines 7 principles for creating spaces that work for all children. This guide states that children want to be and feel that their experiences are fair and that they are included, and that they are smart and that they can be independent, safe, active, and comfortable during play. Some cities that have implemented these designs have seen better engagement, improved mental health, and stronger peer relationships among children with and without disabilities. Also, there are several organizations that are dedicated to accessibility in playgrounds, such as Playcorps, the National Center on Accessibility, Let Kids Play, Inclusion Matters by Shane's Inspiration, and Playworld. Those are listed here. And this is just an example of an accessible playground that would be, compliant with these ideals. And one argument people often make is inclusive playgrounds are too expensive, but when you compare the costs to the long-term benefits, which are better social inclusion, safety, and equal access, the value is clear. The one-time cost is worth it for all children. We also have to fight the assumption that disabled children don't want or need the same type of play. They do, they just need the space to be designed with them in mind. All children deserve equal access to leisure. Also, it is important to note that not all disabilities look the same, so the design must be flexible. We do not want any child to be left out. In conclusion, ableism in playground design is a real issue that excludes kids from something as basic and as important as play. By redesigning playgrounds, using inclusive and universal principles, and by listening to disabled voices, we can create spaces where every child feels safe, included, and free to just be a kid. Let's shift how we think about leisure and remember, accessibility isn't an extra feature, it's a basic right. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope this encourages you to look at the playgrounds and leisure spaces in your own communities and ask who's being left out. If we want a truly inclusive society, we have to start with the places where kids play. Ask children, able-bodied or not, what they would look like their play areas to look like. We should really start to see a change.